I understand the European Union already has like an AU, an AI. I don't know, is it a framework?
So in the EU, they have an AI Act,
Okay.
and that came into force last year. And the first deadline was actually February this year. So companies who were subject to the EU AI Act had to ensure AI literacy requirements, meaning that everybody in the organization needed to be trained and aware of AI and understand how to use AI in that organization depending on their roles. The other thing that came into force was prohibition on certain AI systems. So systems that were manipulative, who are basing your social scoring on, for example, like your personality or your social media posts. So there's a variety of things that have been banned in the EU. And if you are trying to create an AI that falls within one of those banned or prohibited use cases, you can find yourself in hot water in the EU. Now that is a law. And we're going to see a couple of other deadlines come in where there will be more regulations for our general purpose AI. So that is our ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and the rest of them. We're going to see some obligations come in for high risk AI. So if you're operating in the EU and you are using high risk AI, you're going to see additional obligations coming up on you. And so this is a little bit different than the EU GDPR, which we had a couple of years ago. That was a much wider ambit. A lot more organizations were kind of covered within that ambit, and it almost became like a global legislation. With the EU AI Act, the scope is a little bit more limited because a lot of the obligations are focused on companies operating in the EU or AI that is being used or deployed in the EU, as well as high-risk use of AI. So if you fall outside of those categories, it's unlikely that the act will be triggered for you. Now, the other question a lot of people ask is, will other jurisdictions follow a similar approach to the EU AI Act? It's called the Brussels effect. When we get something in the EU, the rest of the world seems to copy-paste that dynamic, and we saw that with the GDPR. I think it's unlikely we're going to get an EU AI Act kind of flavor all over the world because the EU AI Act is based on product liability legislation, which is a little bit of a different approach that we're seeing being taken in some of the other jurisdictions. In South Africa, for example, I predict a more human rights-based approach when it comes to our AI legislation. And so, yes, they may take influence from the EU AI Act because it's one of the first kind of enforced legislations we have in the world. But I